In this movie, we will look at how to set colors using RGB values. Now essentially there are two ways for us to do this. We can either define the pixel value or the percentage value of the colors that we want to mix together. The way that we define the pixel value is that we use whole numbers ranging from 0 to 255 for each of the components of our colors, and that breaks down into red, green, and blue. Now we will need to represent our color as three different numbers representing red, green, and blue in that specific order. So what we will have whenever we use our CSS property value is RGB, and then in parentheses, those three numbers. Now the color that you see here would end up being a bright green color, typically defined as lime. Whenever a number is set to 0, it means that that color is not going to be present at all. Whenever it's set to 255, it means that it's going to be fully present. So in this example, green is fully present, while red and blue are not. Now if you're curious as to why we only have 256 different colors, well, I'm going to recommend that you take a look at RGB color theory because it can get a little confusing and a little bit bulky to work with. But in essence, you just set how powerful you want your specific color to be to mix together. Now a couple of other colors that you end up seeing pretty commonly are black and white. So if zeros represent absence of color, black would be represented with RGB 000, and white, being the full presence of all of these colors, would be 255, 255, and 255. Next, we take a look at how to define colors using our percentages. Percentages are going to be on a range from 0% to 100% for each one of the components of red, green, and blue, and just like using pixel values, they need to be specified in that specific order as well. So in our example, we have RGB 100%, 100%, 100%. So that's going to produce a white color. So just like with the pixel values, if we end up having 0, it means an absence of that color. However, with our percentages, 100% is representing that color fully. Now it's also possible for us to combine the two methods together and declare some components as integer values and some in percentage values. However, for the sake of simplicity, it makes sense to maintain the same style throughout a declaration. So if we ended up having this color that's mixed up here, we would say we want 30% red, so it's going to end up being kind of a darker shade of red, and mix that up with about halfway blue, which would be kind of a grayish kind of color, a grayish blue color. So if we end up having a combination of colors such as what you see here, we would say we want 30% red, which would create kind of a dark red color, and then 134 green, and that's going to end up being kind of a desaturated green color, kind of in the middle, so it would be kind of grayish. And then 75% blue, so that's going to be bluer than anything else. So we're going to end up getting kind of this kind of purplish, dark purple color, mixing all those things together. Now let's go ahead and take a look at how we can use these methods inside of our sandbox. So I'm going to jump over there and pull up the sandbox and pull up Notepad here. And for this file, I am using the sandbox in the 05 folder of our sandbox. So here we already have our style section set up. So I'll go ahead and just click in there. And I'm going to first target my H1. And I'm going to say I want a color here, and I'm going to use the integer method. Do my RGB. Then I'll do 10, 255, and 127. I'll go ahead and save that and jump on over here and refresh. And I should see it turn into this greenish blue color, closer to teal. And then I'm going to jump back into my code here. And I'll put in another declaration, this time targeting all of my paragraphs. And I'll use the percentage. And I'll do 50% red, 10% green, and then 75% blue. And I'll save that and refresh, and I'll get this kind of light purple color. So that's how we're going to be able to use our RGB color systems to define the colors that we want. So we end up having our pixel value as well as percentage values that we can use.